Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you. Budget Day 2022, folks. It's Budget Day 2022. Let's fight peace and power. Wherever you guys are joining us from this evening, welcome, welcome in the ring. My God, what a day it has been. Budget Day 2022. Let us know how you guys are receiving the audio this evening. We don't want any distractions out there. Let us know how you guys are receiving the audio. So much to discuss with you. Quite a few folks might be stopping by this evening. I know Jerry Finance is going to be with us, the Shadow Minister for Finance. I know also we're going to have Christopher Jones and Amanza Walton Desire should be stopping by, even though Amanza is feeling a little bit under the weather. She might be stopping by to spend some time here with us. Folks, you know, as you come to live, share the program. Share, folks, as you come into the Coliseum, as you come into the arena, share the broadcast link. And we want to see those emojis as well. Folks, we don't know how to tell you all this. I don't know how to tell you all this, but a good night to all, except I ain't want to call names. Y'all call name, I can whistle. A good night to all, except, folks, I'm telling you all again, if you all call names, I can whistle. A good night to all, except, and you go, we've been talking to the analysts, folks, and some of what they say, we're convinced. We're convinced. We don't see any excitement on social media about this budget. Nalini Spencer, Ibon Lamy, Diane Fordyce, Margaret Nelson. A good night to all, except Aquino Lawrence, Felice, Florette, Dawn, Kim, Orwin, Morna, Andrew, Marlin. A good night to all, except who can share the live stream tonight? Who is going to share? Who is going to smash that emoji this evening? A good evening to all. But you guys are joining us on Twitter. You guys are joining us on YouTube. You guys are joining us on Facebook. Meta the Blue Up, pace and power. A good night to all, except Karen Thorne. A good night to you. Onika Light. A good night to you. Kwana Mingo, Nandi, Melissa, Lewis. Good night to you, Melissa. Yes, you, Paulette Hicks. A good night to you, Basil Clark. You too, Basil. Good night to you, Albert Morgan, Leslyn Alves, Auntie Leslyn. A good evening to you, Tamara Isaacs. A good evening to you. A good night to all, except we want to see those emojis, folks. We want to see those shares. We want to see those emojis. A good night to all, except folks, a lot of people excited now about this budget, but it's not the public. It is not the public. It's the biggest budget ever. $577 billion plus dollars. It's the biggest ever. But my God, when sites for you, Angela Jordan, Kim Walker, when this budget for you? Dion Bibi, Sandy Ford, when it for you, Denise Timothy, Lester Williams, what's in this budget for you? It's a good night to all, except, I don't know how else to put it to you. To let you know where we're going, folks. To let you know where we are, where we be. A good night to all, except, who's sharing the live stream for us this evening? Who is sharing the live stream so a lot of folks can get the valid and credible information? Why y'all won't keep it from them? Why y'all won't keep valid and credible information from people? You're not being nice. You're not being very charitable at all. It's a good night to all, except the fella. The man. A good night to all, except biggest budget ever. Folks, Facebook isn't exciting at all. Facebook not excited at all about this budget. Marlon Thomas, Jamal Jordan, the folks are not excited at all about this budget. It's a good night to all, except same fella. Glensis Mingo Born, Dalit Asana, Jamal, Marlin, Glensis, Leslyn, Heaven Faith. That's what we need. Heaven and faith to deal with this budget here. It's not Jesus snatched the wheel in the budget. It snatched the whole vehicle. A good night to all, except Ashley Singh. Ashley Singh is not the finance minister. He is the minister within the office of the president with responsibility. There's a fundamental and substantive difference between finance minister and minister within the office of the president with responsibility. Ashley say y'all won't give me substantive minister. I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna lash y'all chest with a budget. I'm gonna block y'all out. The budget big, but it's a blackout budget. It is a blackout budget, folks. I hope we share the live stream. Folks, this budget is something else. Right? If things weren't tight before, brace yourself. If things were not tight before, brace yourself, folks. It's a good night to all, except Ashley. You know, I think after this budget, Ashley should just tiptoe back to Dubai. Tiptoe back to Dubai. Folks, I'm ready to get to the fight card. I am ready to get to the fight card. How about you? How about you? I'm eager to hear what Joretta says about this budget, what Christopher Jones says about this budget, and if Amanza perseveres and she's able to, I hope she tells us their views on this budget here. Let's fight, folks. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome in the ring. Welcome to each and every one of you. Trust you guys have had a fantastic day, wherever you are, wherever in the world you fantastic, beautiful people are joining us from. Welcome in the ring. Anthony Higgins Arjuns, Valmay Wilson, Sharma, Burn, Spurry Lee, Marcia Griffith, Kurt Roberts, Valmay Wilson, Nandi Melissa Lewis. A very, very good evening to each and every one of you. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to get into the fight card. Are you ready? So, leader of the opposition, Joseph Harman, resigned today. Member of Parliament, the Honorable, resigned today. Thank you for your service, sir. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your leadership. Respect and manners. Respect and manners. Respect and manners. It's either people were upset that Joe resigned. It's either people were upset with that Joe resigned because the whole Facebook sour today. Or is the budget. It's either people are vexed and very sad that Joe has resigned as leader of the opposition. Or is the budget? I think it's the latter. It's the budget. Facebook sour and depressed. Social media on the whole. But that being said, the leader of the opposition, the Honorable Member of Parliament, Joseph Harman, has resigned effective today. And sir, it has been a privilege of ours serving with you in the National Assembly. It was a privilege and an education. Thanks for your service. Thank you for your service. Even that, folks, perhaps wasn't enough to rescue this budget. It was not enough. As you guys know, today's budget day. Budget of burdens and sorrows. Budget day, folks, should be a time of excitement. The public service hoping something is there for them. I got to ask you, Rita. I don't trust my own reading of the budget. So I got to ask the people who specialize in this area here. Was there anything in the budget for public servants? Was there anything in the budget for civil servants? Was there anything for Guyanese? What happened to gold? Gold like it fall off the map. Among other things, folks, I roll for the expert. Today's budget day. Biggest budget ever. Folks, to tell you, I want to give you a microcosm maybe, or a measure. The budget reading, and most of the PP MPs outside the chamber, they themselves can't stomach it. The budget is being read. This is the first oil budget. Since we start pumping oil, this is the first one. And the MPs on the government side can't even sit down to listen. How uninspiring, unexcited they are about the budget. All of them were outside, lying around the place, milling around, having conversations. How uninspiring this budget is. Huh? The brightest thing today was annual budget day. The brightest thing in National Assembly I saw was annual. And I'll tell you why later on. Folks, share the live stream for us. Those of you who are joining us, do us that favor. Share the live stream and smash that emoji. Let's see some of the emoji. Let us see some of the emotions rather out there on social media. If y'all love what y'all hearing, smash the budget, man. Smash the budget. Smash us. Smash the emoji, folks. So it's budget day. 26th day of January 2020. And we're up, folks. You see what's the theme for the budget? Last year's theme was a pathway to economic dynamism and resilience. Well, they come from that. They move away from prosperity, economic dynamism, and those kinds of things. They realize we ain't there yet. We ain't going close to that in a long time. Year one, the budget was about prosperity. The second budget was about economic dynamism. They've abandoned all of that. Right? They have abandoned all of that. So this is the theme of this year's budget. Steadfast against all challenges. Resolute in building our one Guyana. All the challenges is self-inflicted. All the challenges they face currently are challenges that they inflicted on themselves and the economy. But this is the theme. Steadfast against all challenges. They forget about COVID. Mind you, the first budget, the theme had COVID in it. Fighting COVID, and now COVID has overwhelmed them, so they have abandoned that. Now it's steadfast against all challenges. Resolute in building one Guyana. With what? This budget? Wishful thinking. Wishful thinking with this budget. But this is the theme. How did the pathway to recovering economic dynamism go? How did that go for us? Huh? We were so dynamic, we had to borrow out all the oil money to pay for this budget. That is how economically dynamic we were. We had to borrow out all the money to fund this budget. But this was the team, nevertheless. And there was Ashley. I still think Ashley started talking. Ashley started talking since about 2:15. And as Guyanese would say, he still stands there bumping the gum. Folks, listen to me. Two things characterize this budget for me. Put it into context. Y'all remember years ago, I don't know if these young men do it now, but when you're going to visit a girl at her home, you walk with a little something, a little ice cream, a little chocolate, you know. Now you might go walk with a punga plantain if you really want to go outlandish. A punga plantain and sambora. Right? The plantain alone could do it. Right? You used to walk with a little chocolate, a little ice cream from Brown Betty or Red Rooster. Those are some places in the city. A little ice cream or a little chocolate and so on. Right? Because them girls used to tell you, don't stand, you can't talk on a dry stomach. You can't talk on a dry stomach. You got to bring something in your hand. You can't just come and talk lang. Right? We can't talk on a dry stomach. Y'all remember that? That's what Ashley reminded me of this afternoon. Right? He talking about Guyanese on a dry stomach. He ain't got nothing in his hand. He doesn't have anything in his hands. He come for talk long. Yeah? And we talking on a dry stomach. He even bring a little soft drink here. He talking long, but he ain't got nothing in his hand. He ain't got nothing in his hands. But he come to talk long. I left he talking since 2 o'clock. He's still talking. He's still talking. I think this is the last time he can visit home, you know. I think it's the last time he can visit home. He can go back to Dubai. I think it's the last time. So it's steadfast against all challenges. Resolute in building one Guyana. That's what I thought about when I listened to Ashley. He talking long. We stomach dry, but he ain't got nothing in his hand. Nothing in his hands. That's what I thought about. So we were following some commentators, some academics, on their impression of this budget. Gemma George and Lovern Cameron and Paula Devonish, Paul Williams and Kurt Roberts and Siobhan Semple. Is it Siobhan or Siobhani Semple? Sandra John and all you other fantastic folks. We're following some commentary in social media. And some of them folks, some ain't nice at all. Here one characterization of the budget that we support. It is the most dreary, boring, repetitive, thoughtless, tactless, and visionless budget in recent history. Long on prose, short on programs that can bring immediate relief to improve the well-being of the poor and powerless. I said to y'all when we started, them big boys go happy because they got money go make. But the small man is the small man. It's the most dreary. That's why they own MPs. The government own MPs. That's why they're outside the chamber, you know. That is why they were outside of the house liming. Because it was the most dreary, boring, repetitive, thoughtless, tactless, visionless budget in recent history. Long on prose, short on programs that can bring immediate relief and improve the well-being of the poor and the powerless. We support such a definition. We support such a characterization, rather, of Budget 22, Budget 2020. Dreary and boring, repetitive and thoughtless. We support that wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. We support that. Folks, this budget borrowed everything from the National Resource Fund. You see why they had to pass it? Against all the commotion that was happening in the National Assembly on December 29. You see why they had to pass the Natural Resources Fund bill? You see why they had to pass it and it's now an act? They have borrowed out everything. So the children born today ain't got nothing for the future because them boys have borrowed out everything. Everything they have taken from the fund. Which brought us to another quote. Some of y'all not going to like this, you know. Some of y'all not going to like this other quote that we saw on social media. Some of y'all going to get vexed. But the truth is the truth. And the facts is the facts. Some of y'all can get vexed. But you got to put in your pipe and smoke it. Along with the pages this budget printed on. You got to put in your pipe and smoke it. So this budget, one characterization says it's most dreary, boring, repetitive, and thoughtless. And then the other quote that we saw, put into context that if it wasn't for the work done previously by the previous administration or the trenches where we hear this and the Jagabats, if it wasn't the work of David Arthur Granger and the coalition government, we would have been in a bad spot now. Listen to the reasoning. Listen to the reasoning. Might you indulge us for a little bit? Listen to the reasoning of the academics. I found this very appealing. Here the academics are telling us, the big thinkers, the former government and the Department of Energy, if the former government, that's how the quote picks up, if the former government and the Department of Energy did not fast track all the preparation work for oil production and set up the framework for it, Guyana would have been doomed now. And all what is being touted and spent now would have been impossible. Apologies for our errors. If the former government, that's what the thought process is here. If the former government, led by David Arthur Granger, did not fast track and did the preparation work for oil production and set up the framework for it, Guyana would have been doomed now. And all what is being touted and spent would not have been possible. Oh, some of us don't like the way Granger left and felt Granger should have hung on a little while longer and all of that. All of that said and done. Let me get Jackie jacket. And the man used to dress and look proper as a head of state. Let me add into, if it was not for the former government doing what they do to set the foundation for oil, it would have taken the PPP the next 3 to 5 years to set the foundation. Where would have we been in 2022, if Granger administration did not do what they did, the installed regime, the abuse about the oil contract, the PSA, have they renegotiated it? Have they renegotiated it? The abuse and the carry on, all we had was a framework for the Natural Resources Fund, but they still had something to move forward. Not so? Let me give Jackie jacket. So this is the thought that I find again most appealing. If the former government and state, if the former government and Department of Energy did not fast track oil and the preparation work for oil production and set up the framework for it, Guyana would have been doomed, and all what is being touted and spent now would not have been possible. Would not have been possible. So let me give Granger his dues and his government. Let me give him the dues. Even though Ashley Singh couldn't find one line in all that 9,000 pages he stamped in the National Assembly reading to say thank you to the last government. They're building on the work. Where do you think all money just fall into the Natural Resources Fund and sitting in a bank account somewhere in the US? It is the work of David Arthur Granger. All y'all call you a dictator and a Reagan, all that nonsense. All that nonsense. He set the foundation and left y'all with $607 million that y'all could dig out to spend. Can you just dig the digging out, you know? It's dig the digging out. But we're going to come back to some of this later on in our discussion. Photo of the day. Photo of the day, folks. Picture of the day. Photo of the day. Remember we told you about the Surinamese Vice President who shot Irfan? You remember we told you about it? Oh, yes. The man wasn't having it. The man said, Irfan, you think you can come and show me from your own country? I can show you. I can shock you out. And we told y'all, all you got to know is sharpen to wire end, plug into the suit, and you don't need GPL. Problem solved. Right? The picture of the day was the chat tree. The chat tree said, Ashley, you come with your budget today. I can show you budget. I can show you budget. Chat tree told Ashley, I gonna overshadow you budget. Chat tree touchdown today. Chat tree touchdown today. Oh my Lord. This probably one from what was the name of the fancy store in New York when the Willie Forest ladies buy share 5,000 US pairs of shoes and so on, and 10,000 US in handbag and so on. What's the name? Van and Arpels? I know you folks on social media sharp. What's the store in New York, man? Something and Arpels. Like they pick up this suit for Anil there. Anil come and Anil suits so loud, people can't listen to Ashley, you know. All the government MPs step outside to see Anil suit. Right? Anil step out like a president waiting. Somebody says Saks. Somebody said Anil bought the suit at Saks. Right? This suit look like it cost the whole $577 billion. This is the $577 billion suit. Right? The man step out. You see when Anil step in, all them government MPs step outside to see Anil. Right? Van Cleef and Arpels. You see y'all in shop? This is the Van Cleef and Arpels suit, folks. This is the Van Cleef and Arpels suit. Right? This is the Van Cleef and Arpels suit. The man step out. The man step out. Y'all can buy this suit with 7%. Y'all can buy this suit with 7%. Y'all like pass this man? This look like any 7% suit. Y'all can't buy a suit like this with 7%. Right? I wish I could buy a suit like that. Honest to God. I wish I could own a suit like that. But I got Chiren. I got Chiren for mine. I can't buy a suit like that and got Chiren. 3 boys I got. Jean-Pierre, Ethan Lee, and Senzane. I can't afford suits like that. Y'all think it easy? Now thousands of y'all watching. Anybody sharing the life? I tell you, y'all get caught up in this show and y'all don't stay active. We got to multitask. You watch and share. Watch and share. Share to the groups. Share to your profile. Share to the pages. Watch and share. Watch and share. Watch and share. So folks, the MPs, the government MPs, they weren't listening to Ashley. Right? It's chattery pinstripe suit. Bring them out. Right? Chattery pinstripe suit. You know, I wish Irfan could look like this. I wish Irfan like the president. I wish Irfan as the president could step out, sir. The man step out with class, you know. He step out. Right? And AG, install AG, and he could hold a rackle. You see when he get up there and he called two big words, you think he know what he talking about. Huh? But when the suits are loud, this pinstripe, you ain't even hearing what the man saying. Folks, a daily simple, you're not even hearing what the fella is saying. Right? I feel so low on the chair in the studio, and I've got to get up. And you see, it's a good thing we buy a new chair here. You can now raise the chair and all that. Right? I got to get up now and raise the chair a little higher. Forgive me. Oh, far. I wonder how are we looking at pinstripe? How are you looking at pinstripe? I don't like to be a distraction, you know. Pinstripe it is, folks. Pinstripe it is, Kuala Mingo. The budget, the suit louder than the budget. Right? We wish we could all buy a suit like the install AG. But things tight. Oh, fun. Y'all should see the speaker suit today, man. The speaker suit, you should see the speaker suit and tie. The man step out. Illegal speaker. He step out. But he can't hold Anil. But we wish everybody could hold a suit like that. But folks, we know in this economy, things tight, people. Things tight in this economy. You understand me? We saw this on social media. How things are tight. They got a business operating. These people are buying your soiled currency. Right? Your damaged currency. They're buying. If you got to have $500, they can buy it from you for $1,500. Folks, there is no country on earth. I got to put my tongue between my teeth at the end there. There is no country on earth like Guyana. It is the greatest country in the world. You take what I'm telling you. From pinstripe suits. Right? The people buying your damaged currency. Folks, listen to me. Let me shine y'all. Some of y'all green. If you carry this money to the Bank of Guyana, they're going to replace it for you for free. As far as I know. I hope I'm putting Bank of Guyana in pressure now. I don't know. They got to find so much money for this budget. I hope I'm putting them in pressure. If your money damaged, they would change it for free. They would exchange, give you a whole new bill. But people know how things tight in this country. And we saw this advertising on eBay, the local eBay, a GBay or something like that. The Facebook page is called GBay. The people say if they're buying currency from you, if you currency damage, you carry your half 5,000, right? Your half 5G, and they're giving you 1,500. You see when you find a trench crab, you have salty back. It's salt them by salting somebody back here. When you find a paku, you got to salt it. Right? If you got your damaged currency, them boys giving you $1,500 for you 5,000. It is the greatest country on earth. On earth, folks. It is the greatest country where them boys can inherit billions from the previous administration. And them boys said they find this country broke. Billions they inherit. And they give no mention, no positive mention in the budget to say hats off to Granger, former president. He didn't get everything right. Right? He didn't get everything right. He stepped down and he gave up power. And we call you a dictator. He didn't get everything right. Right? He stepped down and gave up power and allow us to call him a dictator. He didn't get everything right. But he got a couple things right. Right? Now things are tight. People selling the used cash. Y'all think this country easy? Y'all ever see things so tight? Ever in this country? where you soiled and you damage money. People buying it from people buying it from you. Folks, the late great poet, I always tell you guys this. The late great poet Martin Carter, he said we got a country here. It's a civilized plantation. Jackie Bear, how does it sound to you? It's a civilized, that's what the man said. It's a civilized plantation. Fantastic poet. Civilized plantation. Things tight. How it going? Sometimes we see how things start, but we don't always see how it going. This section could easily be named update. But we extra. How it going? We often, folks, see how it's. Who's sharing the live stream, man? Oh God, I seen 5,000 of y'all watching me. Oh, get a little thing of sharing, man. Shucks, you just come and you want everything for free. How it going? We see how a lot of things start, folks. But we don't often see how it going. We don't often see how it going. We see how the last budget going. Right? Because we know we belly burning, but Ashi didn't come this afternoon with anything in his hand. He come to talk long. Y'all remember we told you about this story yesterday? We want to give you an update. We told you about this story last night of this woman being robbed. Right? One story and three news entities. Three news entities say different things. Three news entities carry different story about how this woman was robbed and all kinds of stuff. What is certain, or what is the commonality with all of them? She was robbed. Right? That much we know. The woman was robbed. Albion businesswoman Nalini Mangal. Nalini Mangal. That's her name. She was robbed. Right? One news source says she was robbed 32 million. Another says she was robbed 18.5. Another one said 20 million. Right? So a story in this country really got three sides. It's me side, you side, and the side we hear about yet. Or it's Guyana Daily News side, Newsroom side, and Fresh News side. Right? One woman get robbed, and we can't even get the amount right. But we learned today that 7 men were held for 8.5. At least that's what the police said. The police now come out and said they think it's 8.5. Right? Regional Commander Budnarain Prasad. Regional Commander of Region 6. Budnarain Prasad. He said 7 persons rather, are being held for this for this robbery. Right? For this robbery. So this is how it's going, folks. This is how it's going. We wanted to share a little update with you. How it going? 7 of them being held for this 8.5. 18 million cut 7 ways. How much is that? That's what you showing you like down the drain for? It's not even 18 billion. It's not even RL Black. 18 million cut in 7 ways. That gets you to the end of the month. How much planting you buy in with you cut? How much planting? That's how things going. Signs of the times, folks. Signs of the times in this country. Who's sharing the program? You all are glued in. Glued. Signs of the times, folks. Oh. Mother of 4. Critical after being set on fire by husband. Oh God. Signs of the times. Signs of the times indeed. And according to the report we have, this is just a sad story. Such a sad story. I don't know where we find some of these men from. And some of the women too. I don't know where we find them from. Mother of 4 set alight. Authorities have launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding a fire. Wrong story. I come in there. It's a lot of fire story. A lot of fire story. A 42-year-old mother of 4 of number 64 Village Quarantine, plenty action in Berbice, is battling for her life after she was reportedly set on fire by her husband on January 13th. Tavita Natasha Lal remains a patient at the burns unit at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, where she was admitted as a patient on the same day of the incident. While she has already underwent some surgical procedures, more is needed in order for her to make a full recovery, according to the victim's 60-year-old mother, Bamala Lal. Oh, signs of the times, folks. Our thoughts and prayers are with our sister, Tavita Natasha Lal. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, Tavita. May you make a full recovery and left this jerk. And may he face the full penalty, the full force of the law. Just like how they passed the man with the 3 grams of marijuana through the court, quick, quick, quick. Oh, may he have even a swifter justice. Even a more swift justice, Kavita. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. Tavita Natasha Lal. That's the name of the woman. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. You think it's easy? Signs in the times. A police constable. You think sight? You think it's tight? A police constable has been charged, ladies and gentlemen, for trying to pervert the course of justice. Huh? Signs of the times, we telling y'all. Things tight. Signs of the times. Police Constable Mario Parsram. He's 28. Beefield Sophia, Greater Georgetown. He was just on Tuesday here arraigned for attempting to pervert the course of justice. And the report tells us Parsram, who's attached to the Criminal Investigation Department headquarters, appeared before Magistrate Rondell Weaver at the Georgetown Magistrates Court. According to information received Wednesday 9, 2020, according to information received recently, right? Parsram willfully attempting to obstruct and pervert the course of justice. How? By demanding the sum of 200,000 from one Petri to prevent the institution of a criminal charge against him. Things tight. See, he wanted 2,000. I wonder if he related to 200,000. I wonder if he related to Sharon Hicks. I want to know if he's related to Sharon Hicks. Folks, is a country we got? Or is a civilized plantation? Yeah? And folks, what happened at Covent Garden? Priya, I know I took a lot of break from Ashley today. So you got some time on your hand and certain you're watching me. What happened at Covent Garden? What happened at a school there? What is going on at Covent Garden? These are some images coming out of Covent Garden. Just over the last 24 hours, folks. What's going on in Covent Garden, Ministry of Education?
Lance Starple, Drake. Covent Garden. What's going on? No, don't do it all.
What's going on in this country, people? What's going on in this country? In the schools is one thing to the next. Y'all miss that? Who missed that? What's going on in this country of ours? What's going on at Covent Garden? We need answers. Take another look.
Lance Starple, Drake. Covent Garden. What's going on? No, don't do it all.
From all the reports we have, this young man is a student. And our sources in the Ministry of Education tells us, our source singular tells us that if it's a student, police cannot arrest a student on the school property, in the school compound. If the person does not belong to the school, we're advised that they can be arrested on the school compound. But if it's a student, the head teacher has to take the student to the gate and hand the student over to his or her parents. his or her parents, and the police takes it from there. Folks, what happened in the country? Pray, we waiting for answer. We waiting for an answer. What are we sharing in this country? You know, a lot of you all glued in, but we want your hands to work to share the life program, to share and to smash the emoji buttons as well. A 14-year-old girl is suing the state for unlawful detention. 14 years old. This is Anne Green from the Child Protection Agency. She's not a 14-year-old. Just to be clear. But a 14-year-old is suing them, Anne Green and the state, for unlawful detention. Anne Green is the director there of the Child Protection Agency, suing them. Why is she suing them? In this country that said they care about children and so on. I got my guests ready to go. Why is she suing them? According to the report, a 14-year-old girl is suing the state for in excess of $25 million in damages for what she said was her unlawful detention at the East Ramvelt, at the East La Penitence police station, where she alleges being subjected to, among other things, sexual predatory advances by adult female prisoners. Yep. It is in the claim filed by the teen's adult sister. She is seeking against the Child Care and Protection Agency and its director, Anne Green, declarations that they breached their statutory duty of care to her and for negligence in allowing for her detention. Yep, 14 years old, suing the state for $25 million. She says, among other things, she was subjected at East La Penitence police station to sexual predatory advances. Sexual predatory advances is who we got at East. Is Hannibal Lecter kind of people there, man? Huh? Who shared their live stream for us? Thousands of you watching. Don't be stingy tonight. Share the live stream, folks. Share the program. Signs in the Times. Things tight. Files on the PPP. Just before our guests come on. Just today, folks. In Regina Region 2, fire GPL. Every week in this country is a fire. Fire at GPL. Every week in this country, folks, is a fire. The fires of PPP is a fire nation. We told you all that. It's two kinds of people in this country. It's two kinds of people. It's Fire Nation people and Fight Nation. Christopher and Charita, who are waiting in the studio to come on, they're Fight Nation. And you got some other people, this Fire Nation. Destructive. Break down everything. Fight Nation, Fire Nation. You think that was the only fire? There's another fire in Regent Street. A Chinese-owned store in Regent Street. Every week. This is the country with the most fires per capita, I'm certain, in the world. Every week is fire. Fire in Georgetown. Fire in Anna Regina. Fire Nation is a fire nation. That's what we're dealing with. For the main event, folks. Privileged to have my guest this evening. And I told y'all, we started the program. A good night to all except Ashni Singh. Except Ashni and Chris and Jarita. Gonna tell y'all why. Chris and Jarita gonna tell you why. Honorable Member of Parliament, Rita Finance, Shadow Minister for Finance, and the Chief Whip, Christopher Jones. Privileged to have both of them. A good night to all, except Ashley. Folks, welcome.
Good night, Sharon. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you, Jarita. Good to have you, Chris. Talk to Guyanese people about this budget that we have. Biggest budget ever, $700 and something thousand. You know, one person characterized it in these terms: is the most dreary, boring, repetitive, thoughtless, tactless, visionless budget in recent history. How would you guys characterize it? Let's start there.
Sharon, if I may begin.
Go right ahead, Julia.
First of all, the first thing I want to point out is the fact that the PPP administration is yet to bring back the country to a state of non-oil growth that the coalition had achieved in 2019. The coalition left this country in 2019. Our growth was quite significant, and then in 2020 we would remember that Ashley Singh stood in National Assembly at the beginning of last year, and he reported that 2020 we saw a reduction in the non-oil GDP of 7.3%. This evening, Ashley Singh stood in National Assembly and basically said that the growth that they have recorded for the non-oil GDP is 4.6%. So what that is basically telling person, wants persons to actually follow with the numbers. 2020 had a reduction of 7.3. So, in order for them, if they were to record any growth that was more than the state of the non oil GDP of 2019, they would have had to exceed that 7.3% in the 2021 non oil GDP. They came to the National Assembly and basically recorded the non oil GDP growth at 4.6. So, basically, what that is telling us, Guyanese, is that in 2022, the non-oil GDP is worse right now than the coalition left it in 2019. That's one of the first things persons
And it's
need to.
worst under the management of the PPP and leadership of the PPP, if you want to call that management and leadership.
But that's what it is. Those numbers, the numbers are what they are. They can say what they want about the coalition. They can go on and on with all the fancy nonsense that they talk. You know, a lot of what, well, 90% of what Ashley Singh was saying was just gas and words put together to dazzle persons. But when you get down to the actual numbers, those are what persons are more interested in. I know that I would have said on your program prior. I think I was speaking with you below the belt yesterday, and I indicated that persons need to prep their mind for this budget to be a really large budget in terms of the number, because this is the very first budget in which we will be utilizing oil revenues. And true to my word, I actually made a projection that they were going to go in the vicinity of the 500 in the vicinity of the 500 billion, where they actually came today with 552 um, billion. But what we are to understand, Sherrod, if persons are to actually look at the numbers, I can give you direct numbers. Actually, let me just pull up the direct numbers for this. Is that they're looking at 552.9 billion, right? But what persons need to realize is that we have a projected withdrawal of 126.7 billion from the natural resource fund. $126.7 billion is coming directly from the natural resource fund. That is our oil revenue. That was not there when the coalition was in office. This is the very first budget that is utilizing these monies. I want to remind persons that in 2021, the budget that the PPP came to the House with was $383.1 billion, and then they came back with four financial papers subsequent to that, totaling $49.9 billion. So basically, throughout 2021, with the budget and those four financial papers, it took us up to $433 billion. Now, Sherrod, with the addition of the $126.7 billion, if you are to actually deduct from that 552.9 billion budget that they have, if you were to deduct the oil revenue, the 126.7 billion that they will be taking from the natural resource fund, you will actually see that the non-oil budget that they presented in 2021 would the budget that they're presenting now in 2022 is $6.8 billion less than that non-oil budget. So basically what I'm saying to persons out there is that the budget, I think is Harris quite nicely depicted in his drawing, that the natural resource fund is basically fetching the country,
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
I think that's a very accurate illustration. And if persons are to be honest with themselves, it is the foundation of the Granger administration that is pushing this economy in 2022 today, and that is the truth of the matter.
Well
It,
said. Well
that is
said.
what it is.
Well said. Chris, what is your characterization of this budget?
All right. So, Sharon, good evening to you. Good evening to your viewers. I'm happy there that they had the opportunity to listen to our chief finance person who will be leading off the debate when it commences next week. And essentially, what she did is broken down those numbers for you. In the coming days, our MPs will be going through the budget with a fine-tooth comb, as we would say, because after listening to 5 hours plus presentation by Ashley Singh, is that one would have expected that you would have been in awe, and a level of excitement. But his presentation and the measures that he spoke about, in many regard, of the 5 plus hours, you had about 4.5 hours of absolutely nothingness. It is a very lackluster budget. It lacks imagination. There is no excitement there, and it's just essentially fluff for a lengthy period of time to conclude and see that this is the largest budget ever. We keep asking the question for the average Guyanese man, woman, and child. While as an opposition, in any country, you welcome infrastructure development. In order for your country to blossom, to grow, and so forth, you need infrastructure development. But at the end of the day, there is that bread and butter issue. They are the public servants, they are the average Guyanese, the farmers, you name them, who are out there who on a daily basis have to get monies to provide food on the table. And I am talking about basic food commodities from rice, sugar, flour, you name it. Clothes to put on their children's back, monies to send their children to school, education material to purchase for the children. And when it comes to the allocation or the lack thereof, allocation to the public servant, that in itself speaks loud. You are speaking about a budget over $500 billion in an oil producing country. And as it relates to the public servants, the pronouncement there is almost deafening. The silence there is deafening. So it leaves much to bear. And that's why we say to people that listen, outside of the fluff that you would see coming from the National Communications Network and DPI and the Chronicle newspaper, is give the opportunity to the members of parliament and those like Raman McCray who would be critiquing and going through that. And of course, in the coming days, you will see the necessary publication which will guide you as to what exactly is in the budget. 500 something billion, what does that mean for you? And thus far from what we've seen, is nothing there. It is just more fluff and exciting conversation. Nothing more than that.
Fluff and bluff. So let's talk about what's action is budget for people. Let's talk about some of the things people look forward to. Chris, you mentioned public servants. Jurita, what's in the budget for public servants? That's what I want to know.
Uh, Sharon, thus far, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the words public servants were mentioned once in the budget, and it's to say that public servants got a 7% increase last year. So that's what's in the budget for public servants. I mean, the government, as projected, the government, as we anticipated. I mean, we were hoping to be wrong. We were hoping that they grew a conscience somewhat overnight when they are coming to the National Assembly with the first ever utilization of the oil revenues. But true to their characteristic and true to our prediction, they came and they didn't give anything to the public servants of this country because they believe to themselves that public servants primarily are the strong support base of the coalition, and more so that the public servants are not a strong support base for them. So they do not come to the National Assembly and present a budget that will benefit those persons, the very persons that were working feverishly to actually have that budget put together. Those persons were in the House. I have to say thank you to those the persons at the staff at the Ministry of Finance and so forth for all the hard work that they put in. But it is pretty sad that at the end of that, all those work and those energies, all the late night, there's absolutely nothing in there to actually benefit them. There were some numbers. I want to actually give persons some numbers because like They're increasing the old age pension from $25,000 to $28,000. My the first ever budget to utilize the oil revenues, we are giving the old age pensioners a whooping $3,000. I guess they can buy some oil and a couple pounds of plantain and have a meal, and that's it for that. Well, so way to go, PPP. That's what you're bringing for those persons. They
Wow.
having public assistance payment from $12,000 with a whooping increase of $2,000 to $14,000. Well, cheers to the PPP, right? This is the administration that goes out there and say that they'll be putting more money in the hands of Guyanese, that they will be putting more disposable income in the hands of Guyanese. I do want to say that I noted an increase in the cash grant from 15,000 to 25, and then in the school uniform from 4,000 to 5,000. And the first thing that I was recalling is the fact that the money was also extended to the private schools in this country, and that the Minister of Education is yet to give us the list of those private schools that got those monies, because it was said in the National Assembly that persons schools came in to receive money that they didn't even know existed, right? So with these increases and so forth, the manner in which those monies will be spent will be quite interesting to follow. I know that those information were promised, and I guess we have to be following up feverishly on that moving forward with these
Yep.
monies. We did not the income tax threshold. I've noted that the income tax threshold has been moved from 65,000 to 75,000 dollars. Persons would remember that the in the last year, the actual minimum wage was pushed by a whooping $4,900 for the minimum wage of public servants. We haven't seen any announcements or anything like that in this budget. I don't expect the PP to come with anything. And if we were to go to the actual budget estimates, that had a total of $10 billion, as you would have spoken to it a lot in the in for other employment costs. That is the line item that
4161. The infamous line
exactly
item.
the infamous line item. You would remember that there were several persons that came out after and actually give the breakdown and said that, well, look, the 7% is not even utilizing half of the money that they said was allocated there. Well, this year I see that number being at $15 billion in that, just in excess of $15 billion in that particular line item. And again, I don't expect even half to be put towards any increase in the wages and salaries for the public servants. And the government they keep doing things that to make sure that they do not commit specific some amount of money into persons hands where it matters. They keep making sure that they leave persons to hurt, and you leave people to hurt when you do not increase their wages and salaries. That's the truth of the matter. That's what persons are looking for when it comes to things like the University of Guyana. I mean, the government goes out there and they say
But
that
I was coming there. I was coming there.
oh,
Because Chris knows all too well. They put up all of these banners on the post and then they say it
yes,
was Photoshop. They
yes,
promised free education. Chris, how is it looking?
But
Huh?
on the part with the grant, Sharon, when you hear about these cash grants and increasing it, what it says to you, what it says essentially is that the PPP likes mendicants, right? And that is what they're creating. Rather than putting the money where it matters, increasing public servants' salary to a livable wage in which they can finance and take care of their family, whether it's paying their utilities and all of that. The PPP likes mendicants. They like to have these cash grants, whether it's for school children, for farmers, and so forth. And they get everybody lined up at a school in some part of the country. You have the cameras, the DPI and NCN there. Oh, what a wonderful government. I get $15,000. I get $20,000. And the fact of the matter that this is a one-off. One single $15,000 or $25,000 you receive for an entire year. It does not improve your standard of living. And the PPP is very cognizant of this fact. But they like the idea of people glorifying them. that they never get a check for $25,000, but it means absolutely nothing. They love the mendicant setting. They spoke about you mentioned it, free education, three budget after. Is it three or four? Three budget after, and still University of Guyana is still not free. And then the minister would sit on a program and say that that was Photoshop. It was never a promise made by the PPP. 50% salary increases for public servants. They talk about the $10 billion Barrett Jagneo Robeson Ben and One Edgel that has been set aside by the PPP for public servants. What did the public servants got at the end of last year? And here it is again in an oil producing country. Look, I mean, it is a crying shame. It is complete disrespect to the Guyanese people. And if you want to dub this budget 2022, I think the best description for it is that it is one of the most disrespectful budget ever. It smacks the intelligence of the Guyanese people to say that you have billions of dollars in an oil producing country, but your public servants, you can't increase their wages and salary to a livable wage and salary. That old age pension, $5,000, senior citizens, of whom shoulder all of us in this country are standing on. They built this and their reward after you find oil, you're a producing nation, you could barely give them $30,000 a month. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
It was expected that the PPP, after a year and a half in office of doing absolutely nothing to improve the standards of living of Guyanese in this country, that they will take the shame out of their eyes and say, you know what? You need to use the street term. We go skin up the coalition here. We go skin up the opposition and drop some wages and salary increases in public servants that we as an opposition got to be like, oh my God, well, how do we challenge that, you know? But they don't give you that opportunity. Here it is that old age pension, the pensioners are now getting $50,000 a month. How could we challenge that? Public assistance and so forth, increase it. When you talk about the minimum threshold, now moving to $75,000. This is 2022. Guyana is an oil producing country.
And cost savings sky high.
It's exactly the African, and that's the point, Sherrod. A budget presented today by Ashley Singh after 5+ hours of speaking fluff and nothingness. What does $500+ billion mean to the average public servant? What does it mean to the average husband who has a wife and 2 children?
Yeah.
What does it mean for a youngster who just took a mortgage and started a construction of their home? What does it mean to them? Absolutely nothing, because it doesn't make it easier for you. You have to get up tomorrow, next week, the month after, and find yourself for your work and juggle every single day because your salary has not moved a bit. And the PPP will come sometime later in the year with grants. It is mendicants that they create in this country.
Yep.
It is a
Dash a hamper in your chest. You know, so no free education, nothing for public servants, old age pension, they're throwing something there, but could have been vastly different because you said, you know, this is the oil economy. But show base and get plenty money though. Guys to go get a 6 billion, right? That them producing nothing, get 6 billion. And we know guys to can go in no place. But the plug on next 6 billion, we understand why. That's your constituency. And so
during the budget last year, I had some choice words to describe the monies that were given to Gaisuko. And here it is again. The People's Progressive Party Civic has no shame. $6 billion.
Disrespectful.
Exactly. That is essentially throwing $6 billion into a catastrophic abyss. That's the best way you could describe the Gaisuko. It makes absolutely no sense. I said on a previous program, Sherrod, that I can take you as far back as former Member of Parliament Winston Murray, Derek Bernard, Deborah Backer, Faith Harding, all members of Parliament who have gone to the great beyond 14 to about 15 years ago, making the point in the National Assembly about the fact that Gaisuko is not producing. Gaisuko makes no sense. And they stress since then that we should be diversifying Gaisuko. You have the workers, you have the farm, you have the land. Just identify new crops for them to plant. But instead of that, the PPP continues to throw billions upon billions of dollars in this black hole that is called Gaisuko, and where you have producer or producing or production in the public servants, workers who go out there and grind this wheel to keep this economy afloat. You give them nothing, $0. It is great disrespect. This budget 2020, as I said, it could be best described as a blatant disrespect to the intelligence of the Guyanese people. And no amount of propaganda from the National Comedy Network, the National Communications Network, and DPI can polish this. It is great disrespect to the Guyanese people.
Chris and Rachel, you characterize it as a disrespectful budget. But as we wrap up, because we're going to be talking about this tomorrow on our podcast Below the Belt, and tomorrow night even, because as we continue to examine budget 2020, burdensome, disrespectful budget 2020. What do we tell Guyanese people as they're going to bed tonight about the future in this country with this biggest budget ever, but not for you?
Yeah, Sharada, I know you're wrapping up right now. We definitely need to talk a whole lot more on the budget tomorrow, because Chris and I, we're still in National Assembly right now, so we have to be heading out pretty soon. But I want to throw some numbers at persons right now when it
Right
comes
ahead.
a very significant sector in our country. Before we had oil, there were other sectors that was doing really well and pushing this economy, and one of those sectors is gold, right? Gold was amazing, and I want to bring these numbers to persons. In 2019, for example, we had a gold production at 634,000 ounces. In 2020, we had the gold production at 584,000 ounces. In 2021, the budget that was read today, the numbers that was thrown at us, is that it went from 584,000 ounces, and well, that was already a decrease from the 634 in 2019. Mind you, that that's a coalition year right there. This 2019. That's why I keep going back to it. 2021, 481,000 ounces. I want persons to get an understanding of what is going on right now. When in 2014, the year before the coalition took office, 387, 508 ounces. That was a declaration of gold in this country. When the coalition went into office in 2015, 451, 451,490 ounces, which was a 16.5% increase in the declaration. If persons would actually remember, in 2016, the declaration of gold in this country went up to a whooping 712,707 ounces, 58% increase. You know why? Because the coalition policies made very well sure that persons were coming in to declare. Today, what we are seeing with the reduction in the production and the reduction in the declaration and all of these things, basically, it goes hand in hand, Sherrod, with that 2% worse off that we are on the corruption index. That is what is going on
Yep.
right there.
Yep. Yep.
Those are the things that tie in together. And our person needs to look at the numbers, and they need to understand what is going on. How is it that when the PPP is in office, these numbers are suddenly lower? How is it that when the coalition is in office, these numbers are so high? And how is it then that the PPP can dare face the nation and said that they're a better government than the coalition, when the numbers clearly show that they're doing an extraordinary worse job than the coalition ever did? The coalition was absolutely amazing. Come on, 2016, 712,707 ounces. The PPP come back into office. What we're looking at, Sherrod, 481,000. These are the people that go out there and boast to be the best at this, and they're
Yeah.
great at managing
Yep.
resources.
Transforming the country by
It is
taking it backwards.
absolutely ridiculous. But we have a lot of documents that we need to go through. If persons don't know how the budget presentation work, like when you get these budget books, it's three of them. This is one of the smaller ones. And we have to go through these. I'll go through them throughout the night and pull out all the important numbers, so persons would actually get a good understanding of what is in this for them. So I guess tomorrow we can talk some more on these numbers.
Yeah.
And
Great. Chris?
Yeah, quickly to share it on the same books. What I want your viewers to know that this is the largest budget ever. Um, but in terms of the opposition members of parliament preparation, because we have to go through, as Dorita said, there are 3 volumes, and you have to go through each and every single page and each and every single line. We've been given essentially 2 days to go through all of that and then start our presentation as early as Monday.
The
It
wicked
is
stinking dirty.
exactly. It is deliberate. It is deliberate, and this is what we talk about always happening. So when PPP love to boast about transparency and accountability, and they don't even give the elected officials sufficient day and time to go through that, and that's why I keep saying to people is that Guyana members of parliament, unlike many other jurisdictions, is that members of parliament have an office, you have a chauffeur, you have a researcher, and so forth. So essentially, a member of parliament in England or Canada or wherever, they have staff who is actually going through these budget estimates and pull out for the MP to make his or her presentation. In Guyana's context, it is each and every single member of parliament have to go through those volume by him or herself. So literally, between when we leave here, we will start reading these estimates overnight. We will have a nap sometime in the morning, and we'll start back during the day tomorrow and prepare for our budget. It's not an easy task. So I want to drive that home to your viewers that the PPP is now essentially giving us 2 days to go through 3 volume in order to prepare ourselves for the debates which will start on Monday. Now, you asked the question, or you asked me to say to the Guyanese who are going into bed tonight, um, what should be on their mind or what tomorrow should bring for them.
Exactly. What is the future for us in this country?
So, Sherrod, we have been ad nauseum saying to all and sundry that the People's Progressive Party Civic is all about friends and cronies. In this budget estimate, many of the billions of dollars that you see listed there, there is already a contractor or group of contractors across this country who these monies have already been allocated to. And he or she and them already know the people under them who will benefit from that. So when you talk about excitement about the budget, the PPP friends and cronies are the ones tonight who are celebrating that the budget has been read. All they are waiting on now is for the estimates to be dealt with in 2 weeks so that they can get access to this money. As it relates to the rest of us, that 85% of us, which includes you
Yeah.
who are viewing this program, who happens to be a supporter and or a member of the People's Progressive Party Civic. And as the AP and UAFC, we continue to say it is your democratic right to be associated with any political party of your choice. But what you have to realize or come to the realization is that you too are captured in this net of 85% of Guyana's population that does not benefit from the taxes of this country. Is that these disbursements that you see here in these budget estimates and these volume mean absolutely nothing to you, unless perhaps you're owner of a car, you are privileged to be driving a car, and likely the road or the street that you reside in, it may be rehabilitated, or you may go on one of the 4-lane highway and so forth. That is what you're going to benefit. But as it relates to you getting sick, God forbid, or your family member getting sick, and you need to get him or her emergency treatment, and if you have the resources in your pocket or your bank account, this budget doesn't speak to you. If you want to further your child's education, you watched just a few days ago how many students graduated from the University of Guyana, and you are now making preparation to send your little one off to the university. And you are hopeful that this budget in this oil producing nation of Guyana will provide your children with free education to the university, as have been publicized by the People's Progressive Party Civic in their election campaign. This budget doesn't speak to that, so you have to find that money. In terms of you who barely managed today when you went to Border Market or Stabroek Market or Monrepo Market, and you get to spend a little $8,000 and you get some ration, it look reasonable, it might go beyond this weekend and so forth, you're lucky. But as it relates to the budget, if it will put more money now in your pocket, that the next time you go to those markets, you will have more to spend. There is nothing there for you. This budget does not cater for the 85% of us, unless you are a PPP or one of the cronies or friends or close associate. And make no mistake, you may be a supporter or a friend, but you aren't in the inner circle.
Correct.
You know, you may know a minister, you may know a PPP man or PPP woman, but you ain't in the circle, so you benefited from that. That is the reality. As we said, it is a crying shame and disgrace on a political party that was founded and built by Chedi Jagan and built about the working class citizens of this country. And to see in 2022, Chedi Jagan and Janet Jagan must be turning in the grave to see the political party that should have been providing for the average Guyanese who are suffering, that they care not about them and only about their personal development. Those ministers that left here today, the Architrong Conference Center, they're going home to their beautiful homes. Their chauffeurs are taking them there. They don't have to worry like you about light bill, phone bill, food bill, and so forth. All of that is already dealt with. So they go into bed sleeping nice and waking up tomorrow bright, while you have to wake up tomorrow and go out there and hustle, literally hustle, and take $1,000 and turn that into $10,000 to provide for your family. It is unfortunate, but it is the political reality of the times in the cooperative oil producing territory named Guyana.
Yep. Well said, well said. And as we said, folks, we're going to be examining the budget in the coming days. The debate that the Chief Whip, Christopher Jones, says starts on Monday. So you guys have to stay tuned for that. And we're going to be bringing you all of the latest, all of the details on programs like this. And coming up tomorrow on our podcast, we'll be delving into this budget some more. So, the dig we out. Dig out everything from the oil fund there. Folks, we're going to be delving into this budget more and more. I'm sure you ain't got nothing for you and me. It's all for the big boys. Nothing for us. Dreary Finance, the Shadow Finance Minister, Christopher Jones, the Opposition Chief Whip. Thank you, folks, for joining us. We know it's been a hectic day where you are, but thanks for making the time and spending this time with us.
Sharon, we were hopeful that after the budget, we would have been able to roll with the big boys. We wanted to with this budget. We wanted to roll with the big boys, but the people being
maybe the next budget. Maybe the next budget. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right. You see why we say a good night to all? Except, you understand, you understand why we say a good night to all, except it's bare nonsense, folks. Bare nonsense. Bare nonsense. We're going to be unpacking the budget for you guys. We're going to be unpacking the budget as our colleague Randolph Kitchener says. We're going to be unpacking the budget. Folks, you know, we said we cannot do these programs without you. And so we crave your indulgence. We crave your indulgence, folks, as we ask you guys to come on board and partner with us so that we can keep these programs going for your edification, for your knowledge, getting the credible and valid information to you folks. Come on board and partner with us. We have several platforms available. We have the Cash App, we got the PayPal, we got Zelle, we got MMG, we got Western Union we're available via MoneyGram as well, folks. And if you guys need any guidance, you can contact us via our MMG number, 627-6963. At Cash App, we are the $ in the ring 592. That's our Cash App handle. The $ in the ring 592. That's the Cash App handle. At PayPal and at Zelle is the one email address. The one email address both at PayPal and via Zelle. Folks, it's in the ring 592 at gmail.com. In the ring 592 at gmail.com. MMG, 627-6963. That's our number there. 627-6963. That's our number there. And we told you guys we're available via MoneyGram, via Western Union as well. You need any guidance, WhatsApp us, 627-6963. A good night to all, except that minister within the office of the president with responsibility for finance, Ashley, saying, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Cheryl Gillis, Janet Edwards. I see Spurley is here as well. Good to see you, Spurley. Benetta John, Jamal Aziz, Rita Singh is here as well, Anne Beverly, Dolette Asana, Anthony Higgins Arjun, Edward Anthony Perry, Kurt Roberts, Don Barnes, Cheryl Gillis. Again, I see Ann Beverly still with us. Good to see each and every one of you guys. Ensure you share the program before you go. Those of you who are coming back and viewing the program, you have a responsibility as well, folks. We want as many people to get information, to get it. And we know you guys come, you enjoy the program, you enjoy the content. It is beneficial to you. And so we encourage you to share it with others. You got to share, folks. That's what I want you to know. We got to share. Them boys and sharing. This budget is not for everybody. Them boys and sharing. This budget is for some people. But we got to share. Thanks for joining us, folks. That's our time this evening. We're going to be back with our podcast Below the Belt tomorrow at 12. And then we're right back here in the ring tomorrow at 8. Thanks for joining us. In the meantime, enjoy our affiliate entity, Credible Sources. They have a fantastic website. They keep putting out information for you guys. It can be had at Credible Sources. GY.com. CredibleSourcesGY.com. The name of the website is Credible Sources. Check for it. Some of the articles are on our page. Enjoy that. We're going to see you guys right back here at 12 tomorrow for Below the Belt. Who Vex? And then right back here for In the Ring. That's right. Thanks for joining us, guys. That's our time. Stay safe, folks. Stay safe.